For you to sit there and say, oh, that violence is toxically masculine, but you call a toxically masculine man when the trouble comes, shows that the whole idea in and of itself is hypocritical and it's garbage and it's stupid.
The reason why I feel like this cancellation should be like such a concern for the Muslim community is because if this can be done to you because of XYZ view that you have, or that you had before Islam, let's say, a lot of those views were commensurate with Islam, fully commensurate with traditional Islam, especially your traditional views, gender roles, so congruent with it. If they're doing that with you, then we're next. Absolutely. And we've got two choices. Either we preempt the situation, like what we're doing right now, and holding these unelected elites to account, or we stay there as lame ducks and put our neck on the chopping board and we'll be next.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is why, once again, when I was saying earlier about the reason I've adopted Islam and how you have red lines and things you stand up for, it's the Islamic community, the only ones I see who are outside schools trying to protest and protect their own children. They're the only ones who have a baseline moral fiber that can't be corrupted. We're here in Dubai, right? You could walk outside and find a construction worker in the heat for $300 a month. If you offered him $1 million to denounce Islam, he wouldn't do it.
There's one thing I'll say about Muslim women, right? For the most part, and no study has been done on this, but from my own experience, I'll tell you this for a fact. Yeah? If you go to 100 Muslim women, 1,000 Muslim women, and tell them, look, you've got this millionaire, but he's not a Muslim. He wants to marry you. For the most part, I believe that they will reject that offer, which shows you a certain level of loyalty that we have as a community, that we have as Muslim people, which is inspired from the Quran, to be honest with you. كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس. You are the best community that was sent from the people, and that the Prophet told us about these kinds of things. And it shows you, quite frankly, the strength of the Muslim community based on faith, a transcendental idea. And at the end of the day, if you have that kind of mindset, a strong mindset, a disciplinarian mindset for yourself and for your family, I think that is, in many ways, it is the remedy for a lot of these mental health issues.
Oh, absolutely. And I also think that God is pleased with you when you show him the beauty of his creation. I think that God is pleased with you when you work as hard as you possibly can and you do the best you can in anything you're going to attempt. God loves people who work hard and try hard. And in my own personal life, I can see that God is very happy with me when I give it 100%. And very few people give anything 100% anymore. It's very rare you meet somebody and if they're honest with themselves and with you and with God, say, I gave it everything I had. They gave it some. They tried a bit. They got demotivated. They got distracted. They got tempted.
There's a lot of young men now, young women, that require that discipline. What kind of advice would you give them, practical advice?
In terms of the religious sense, I would say you need to live like God is always watching. You may have the opportunity to do something bad, or you may have the opportunity to steal some money or snake somebody, but in the end, you're going to pay for that, and the bill will be paid. In my experience, if you're a person who does the right thing, firm handshake, is on time, doesn't lie to anybody, does what he's supposed to do, is honest with a good heart, is genuinely polite to everyone he meets. If you are that person, you get very far in life. I've yet to meet people who just do all the simple things right, who completely fail at life. But I've met a lot of people who snake or steal some money and they get really rich, then they lose it all, or they get rich and end up a gambling addict or depressed, or etc. So you have to just understand that God is always watching. He's going to reward you in the end. That's the first thing. And the second thing I will say is that you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and you need to curate your reality. I think the biggest problem with young people today is that they don't curate their realities heavily enough. The people that they want to spend most time with aren't adding any value to their lives, and then they end up wondering why they don't get anywhere. I was arguing with a feminist, like I've done a bunch, and she was talking about toxic masculinity, and she was talking about the idea that men are innately violent and how that's bad. And I said, you think that's bad because you're living in an extremely privileged society and a very privileged life, but I'll tell you that that's not bad, because you, even in and of yourself, may not know this, but you like the idea of men being violent. Because let's say I lost my mind right now, or let's say an intruder broke in and threatened you physically.
Yeah, exactly.
You would call a man to be violent for you. You'd call the police and say, please be violent to protect me. You believe in violence very much. So for you to sit there and say, oh, that violence is toxically masculine, but you call a toxically masculine man when the trouble comes, shows that the whole idea in and of itself is hypocritical and it's garbage and it's stupid. And what they're trying to do is brainwash people into thinking that if you stand up for yourself, or if you are true to the innate way we were built, the things that are inside of us when we're born, that there's something wrong with you. They want you confused. They want you to sit and go, I'm a man, and what's happening around me I think is unfair, and it makes me feel unhappy about it, and I want to stand up and talk and fight against it. They want to convince you that that's wrong and you're a bad person for wanting to defend your ideas. And I don't think that's the case. That's simply the absolute opposite, in fact.
Absolutely. And the thing is, a lot of people will think that, this idea of a man is just simply that our idea of a man, or the Islamic, say, for example, idea of a man is just this violent creature. The truth is, like you said, violence is just an integral part, or the ability, the capacity to do it in situations where there's a need for it, is just one part of the puzzle. A lot of men nowadays, I'll be honest, within the Muslim community and outside the Muslim community, we don't have those kinds of role models.
Yep.
The religious clergy are nothing like warriors, and the warriors are nothing like intellectuals or anything like that.
Yep.
And I could not remember who had done this, who said this quote, but it was such a powerful one. If you separate the fighting man from the thinking man, you have fools that fight, and you have cowards that think.
Yeah, completely. Even before I became Islamic, I very much understood that when bad things happen to me, this is a lesson from the universe or from God or from the Creator to stand up and show who I am and who I can be, and to take all of the pain and anguish and disappointment and heartbreak and all of this and turn it into a force I can use for good and to make myself a better person. And I think if you don't approach life this way, that you're always going to struggle, because life is hard for everybody. It's going to be hard. It doesn't matter who you are or what you do. You need to be resilient to it. And I think that Islam is a fantastic way to understand exactly how to handle adversities and move forward. So,
I mean, one thing I want to say to the Muslim people is we must show loyalty and unity with Andrew Tate, in the sense that he is now one of our brothers, and it is absolutely unforgivable to say things that some of these feminist Muslims have been saying. And in fact, if anything, they need to be the ones who are refuted. Andrew Tate now is a brother of ours. His sins have been completely wiped away. Thank you so much, Andrew, for coming.
Thank you very much, man. And it's been educational and very interesting. Thank you, my friend.
Too, man.
Thank you, brother.
Take care, man.